Hey guys, today we're at the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Detachment in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. This is the rural detachment, so as opposed to the town detachment, this detachment works outside of the town limits. And we're going to see if they respect our rights to film in public and film our public officials in the course of their duty. So let's go in over here and see what we can see. There we go. Now I'd like to address a couple comments that we had. I understand before I had a little bit of an issue there where the constable just kind of forced me out of the house or out of the detachment the other day. I just wanted to say that I'm kind of new to this. And I'm not new to watching the videos, but I'm kind of new to the scene. So that's on me, and I completely understand where you guys are coming from. And you can see there's a vehicle there. Got them filming us here. So let's see what we can get up to in here today. So as you guys saw before, the town detachment didn't like us filming. Let's see what this one says. If lobby is occupied, return outside waiting area. Lobby does not appear to be occupied. So at least in this detachment, we don't have any signs that would restrict unlawfully any filming in public, so that's great. What do we have here? What kind of information do they have for the public? Here to help. Interesting. We see this a lot, actually. This poster here, positive agent. Oh, this is interesting. Give you guys a second there if you'd like to read that. And this was the poster that we were kind of looking at when the individual interrupted us last time, so we'll get a better look at it now. So we have this in English, French, and I would assume would be Cree, which is awesome to see. National security and shared responsibility. Oh, there we go. So there it is there. So we do have that in here as well. We'll see the reaction to that, I guess. Sexual assault nurse, what it is. Interesting.
Hi, I'll be right with you.
Hi there.
I'll be right with you.
Perfect, thank you. Some of these. What is this? This is it. In French.
Yes, sir. How can I
Hi there, how are you?
Good.
Oh, just coming in today just to ask you guys, if you guys is it publicly accessible for me to ask how many individuals are staffed here on a daily basis on a Monday to Friday?
We wouldn't give that out.
And how would I have access to that information if I did want to find that information?
We wouldn't have access to that.
So even through an application through ATIP or something like that, that information wouldn't be accessible freely to the public? No. Okay. Now I have a question about this sign here. Now I've seen this sign, it says notice no cell phone zone.
That is correct.
Now, in what way is that sign lawfully posted? Can you please explain that to me? Because I've tried to do a little bit of research involving this sign. And when it comes to public property like this is...
well, it's not public property.
It's publicly accessible.
You're in a publicly accessible...
Exactly. I'm publicly accessible, so that would deem it under the same guise as public property and not as like a house or a dwelling or a private property. So I'm wondering how enforceable this sign actually is, where it would be more considered policy rather than it's not held up by any law or act.
Well, it's not breaking the law, but
Exactly.
but it's a rule by this establishment.
Exactly.
So therefore, if you don't comply with that rule, we can ask you to leave.
And what if I didn't comply with that order to leave?
We're allowed to use as much force as necessary to remove you from the building.
But what crime would I be committing that? But how can I trespass from a public building if I'm not committing a crime?
It's not a public building.
But it's publicly accessible, so it's under the same guise.
But it's not a public building.
So it's publicly accessible, and what difference does that make between a public building and?
Well, the mall is a public accessible building.
Exactly, yes. But it's privately owned, correct? It's privately owned, right?
The mall has every right to ask you to leave.
Yes, but that's privately owned, right?
Doesn't matter. It's
I understand, but is this paid for by tax dollars, or and that's why the mall would be slightly different? Like it's, I would tend to disagree with that statement, but I just wanted to ask some general information questions. I wanted to see what you guys had on the wall. I have a bit of a following, and I would like to just disseminate some information to the public, especially if they're coming in. Maybe we're a large tourist hotspot, especially with the fam.
And everything like that. And that's it.
Okay, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Is there anything else that you need?
No, that's everything. Could I have your card or your name?
My name is Staff Sergeant Paul Pitman. I don't have a card on me right now, but that's my
Okay, do you have a registration number? I've had officers give them to me in the past and some that haven't. So I know it is a thing that officers usually and typically have. I know that it's not necessarily policy that you guys have to give it out.
If anybody wanted it, you can certainly call the detachment. I'll have a chat with them. But
Okay, and what's your guys' public phone number?
Pardon?
What's your guys' public phone number?
It's the one that's posted in the phone book or online.
And what is that? Could you?
9106.
9106?
9106.
Okay, and the area code's 902?
Take care.
Perfect, thank you. I appreciate your time, Sergeant. So we have some stuff here, like I said. We got some pamphlets for sexual assault and domestic violence. Now you can see his explanation now of that sign. He didn't ask me to leave. I would say that was pretty respectful of him. Respectful of all the individuals. I can hear them kind of talking and gawking, which they're allowed to do. They're allowed to have their opinion and their freedom of expression. Now would I say it's appropriate while in the workplace? That's a story to be told on another day. But it's completely their right to their freedom of expression and freedom to redress me as much as I want to redress them. Now, as you heard the Staff Sergeant Paul Pitman state that the information of public staffing and the staffing levels of this detachment is not publicly accessible, which I would tend to disagree with, but it may or may not be. That would be up to the arbitrators of such law or such policies and in that jurisdiction of making a rule on that. So maybe in the future we'll make a ATIP application for the staffing levels of this establishment here, this public and publicly accessible office, which I think the Staff Sergeant has a slightly misunderstood opinion of how publicly accessible and public go hand in hand, especially when we're talking about an Rcmp detachment or a town hall or some other place like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this content. We're going to get a little bit outside before we leave, and yeah, this seems like they did a really good job. And I really appreciate their time and their professionalism and giving me a moment to speak and listening to me and feeling heard, even though our opinions may differ. That's okay. That's what living in a free democratic society means, that we can have differing opinions and we can still live our lives and go on day to day without being disrupted or abused or feeling like we're unwanted or unheard. So we're gonna get some footage from outside here and we'll be on our way. And despite their signage, they didn't ask me to stop recording. So, and I apologize for any wind audio outside. It's a bit windy outside today, and yeah, that may interfere with my phone. I'm filming on a phone. It's an iPhone SE 2020 edition, so it's not the greatest, and that's what happens when you have kids and you need to pay bills. So these are their hours of operation: Monday to Wednesday, Wednesday, and Friday apparently. So they're closed on Tuesdays, and they're open from 9 a.m. until 1, I guess. That seems a little slack, but especially for an Rcmp detachment, but that's totally okay. So let's see what we can see over here. Where is there so as you can see, there's a vehicle running, and that's vehicle 44B1. And right here we have Rcmp staff parking only. So that's a parking. They didn't give me a hard time, so I'm not going to give them much of a hard time coming back here. But back there would be the loading bay. You can see some of their vehicles parked back there. They've got a pretty out of the view parking lot here at the rural detachment, which is fine. That's kind of what we expect. If they want their privacy, they need to create it, so they put a building in front of it. So that's fine. Obviously we could get around that in ways. We could go speak to the business owners next door and say, hey, can I go up to your fence line? And that would be totally okay. But yeah, so here we have it. I would say this was a good success for our rights and for our ability to film in public, even though there was a sign and his opinion differed from mine of the legality of that sign and its lawfulness. I think that we had a reasonable discussion, and he in no way was really rude or condescending. His opinion just differed from mine, and that, like I said, is completely 1000% acceptable. So I hope you guys like this content. This was another one from Tri-County Accountability. If you guys haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, comment. It really helps the channel out, and don't miss out on any future content. Take it easy, guys.